Hey, this is Kevin Tomlinson with Draft to Digital, and I'm so glad you've joined us for this. Now, we have talked about D2D Author Pages and D2D Book Tabs in a previous video and a previous blog post. So we're not going to do a just thorough, complete walkthrough of this, but we are going to talk about some new features we've added that are going to make this a lot more usable, a lot more targeted. You can actually use this tool in ways that will benefit you in the way that you promote your books to your readers. So let's get started. Now, first up, you're going to want to log into books2read.com, and you'll do that with your Draft to Digital credentials or with your Book to Read credentials, depending on how you joined us in the first place. Either way, ultimately, you want to get to your UBL dashboard, which looks basically like this. Your books will differ, your titles will differ, but otherwise it looks exactly like this. Now on this page you have all the universal book links you've created, and if you've been publishing books through Draft to Digital, some of those are created for you. But if you've been dropping links in here and making your own universal links, they'll all appear here. And you can see that here's the universal link. This is the URL, and this is the custom link name. That's when you can customize it. So all these appear here. Now what we're going to focus on today, first we're going to focus on the author page, which is right here, and then we'll take a look at book tabs. So first, let's hop on over here, and you'll click on your name or pin name here to access your D2D author page. All right, so this is the standard layout of the D2D author page, and the color scheme and that sort of thing is going to change depending on what your hero book is. This is your hero book. Basically, from this line down, this is what your readers will see when they check out your author page. There's a lot of cool stuff going here. Now, when we scroll down, see, these are what we call our book carousels. These are, each one of these right now is a series. So this is my Dan Kotler series. This is all the books in that series right now. This is a Citadel trilogy. So there's 3 books in that. And this trilogy is Sawyer Jackson. And I've got this one here that says Other Books by Kevin Tomlinson. Now this is a collection of uncategorized books. So anything that's not specifically labeled as part of a series ends up in this carousel, Other Books. Other Books by fill in the blank, whatever your author name or pin name happens to be. Now this is cool. This is all organized alphabetically. You can see C, D, O, S. All right. So everything's alphabetical. Everything is findable by your readers. Not a real problem with this. And the books in general tend to be organized by their number in series. So like, for instance here, this is a 0.5. This is your 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also notice as I hover over these that I get the title and the little bunch of numbers and letters in parentheses there. That's the identifier for your UBL. So that could come in handy later. So let's remember that. But for now, this is what the standard default setup looks like. Now we're going to go up here and we're going to hit the enter edit mode. And once we're in the edit mode, we essentially see the same page, but some things have changed and a few new things have popped up. We've talked about this in a previous video, but everything that is highlighted in green can be edited. So even down here now, we see that the carousels themselves are highlighted in green. So that's nice. We know that something's going to happen there, but you can change the your book description. You can swap out your hero book, change your author photo, all kinds of nice, nifty things here. And we've covered that stuff in another video, but what we have not covered yet is this little guy over here on the left. So this is a menu of options we now have to help us basically customize these carousels. And we're going to jump right into those in a second. But first I wanted to show you, because this guy is on the left. When you resize, if you happen to have a smaller screen, a laptop screen, or you're doing this on an iPhone or a smart tablet or smartphone of some kind, this little bar is going to appear at the top instead of on the side, just because of the size. It resizes with your screen. So I'm going to open that up all the way, and it appears on the left-hand side by default. So just wanted you to know that, just in case you opened it up and this looked a little different on your side, you know what's going on. Now, let's take a look at the carousels themselves now that we're in edit mode. As we scroll down, we come to that other books carousel. Now, there's nothing really inherently wrong with this, these uncategorized books being here. We might not necessarily have a series for these, and so dropping them in there by default is fine. But I happen to notice that these are two of my nonfiction books. So I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to create a brand new carousel and use that to highlight these. Now, there's a couple things I'm going to show you right off the bat, though. If we go over here to the left-hand side and check out the menu, we've got a whole bunch of options here, but we've also got this Show Other Books radial here. Now, if we click that, we notice right away that other books carousel disappeared. It actually didn't disappear. It's actually over here on the left-hand side of the screen. So this is the carousel now. This large swath of green next to the menu. Both of those books now appear in it. Now that's handy for a couple of reasons. It gets it off of here, and we're about to do something to really highlight how powerful this feature is. First, we're going to go over here to click to add carousel. Now you'll notice that right now the only option is create empty carousel, that's fine for us. So we're going to go ahead and click that to add a carousel, and it runs it right down to the bottom of the screen, and it's by default named carousel name. We're going to change that. So these are our nonfiction books, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to nonfiction, and there we go. We got a carousel named nonfiction, and here are some instructions for us, and they're pretty easy to comprehend. Drag a book to add. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to drop it in place, and boom, there we are. I'm going to take the next one, I'm going to drop it in place, and there we are. So now we have a carousel with two books in it. Except I dropped the 30-day author in second, and that's actually, to me, that's the first book in this little series I'm building. So I can go ahead and grab that, and I can rearrange it and reorder it. So it doesn't matter. Once the books are there, it doesn't matter whether it's a carousel you created or one we created, you can reorganize these books any way you want and do it all day long. You can even take this book and drag it down and add it to a whole different carousel. So is that control or what? Okay, so now we've got our brand new carousel, and we've renamed it and we've reorganized it, and I think things are looking pretty good, but I'm not satisfied with its position. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to click to manage carousels. I click on that guy, and here we are with a sort of skeleton version of the same page. Before I do anything, I want to point out this little icon here, this little stylus tip. Now, what this means is there's a guide down here at the bottom. It says, indicates a custom user-created carousel. If this carousel is removed, it will have to be rebuilt. That's strange language that I'm going to explain in just a moment, but what it means is this indicates that we have built this particular carousel, while the absence of that little pin nib means that these were created by Draft2Digital. And these are created based on the series name that you give the books when you build them in the Draft2Digital dashboard. So if you build a series, if you include a book in a series when you're publishing your books, or just uploading for conversion, or whatever you're going to do with our free tools, we'll create a carousel that is named for that series. So whatever series name you gave when you created it, that's what's going to appear here. So if you delete those, something else will happen. But for now, we're not going to delete anything. First, we're going to just reorganize. So let's grab this and let's move it to the top and hit save. And if we scroll on up, we can see right away that those books are now at the top. And you know, I because I am who I am, I'm going to go ahead and rename this series. I'm going to call this Wordslinger Books. Don't have to hit enter. I hit enter by default. I don't know why. So now we've got a series named Wordslinger Books. It's right at the top of our page. And when readers come by and check us out and they see the hero book and they scroll down, there's another book for them to read right there. And conceivably there could be multiples. This is all cool. Now I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to click to manage carousels again, just for the fun of it. I'm going to move this Dan Kotler series up. Because the next thing I want people to discover is my thriller series. So you can see how you get a lot of control over reorganizing these books, including, you know, reorganizing them within the carousels themselves. So move that back. Okay, so that is powerful all on its own. But now we're going to take a look at a few more features. Now having this carousel up here is cool. I like that I've got my nonfiction work represented on this page. But let's say that my goal really is to encourage people to jump into my fiction series. And to do that, I have each of my first books priced at free. So what I really want is a promotional tool that would encourage readers to try out the first in that series for free in an effort to get them addicted to that series. So let's go back over. We've already kind of played with this. We know how this works. So let's take a look. Let's click to add another carousel. We're going to create an empty one. And right there at the bottom, there it is, carousel name. And because we're going to do this as a promotion, I'm going to say first in series free. I'm going to put an exclamation point. I made that big with an exclamation point because we want people to know it's exciting. So now we've got this brand new carousel, first in series free. And we're going to start adding books to it. Now we want each of the first books in our series to appear there. Let's just say that all three of these first in series on these fiction carousels are actually free books. Now I could just grab them and move them down there, no problem. Right? It grabs it, it moves it, but it takes it out of its original carousel. And since I want to keep my series together so people can discover an entire series, that's not exactly how I want things to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate these books so that I can add a copy to this first in series free carousel. And if we look over here, we can see among our options there's drag to copy book. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this book. I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to drop it on top there, and boom, there's an exact copy. I'm going to just do that a couple of times with other books, and there we are. We've got duplicates of all the first books in our series. But they're still in their original carousels. Now we already know that we can do this, but we're going to grab these and we're going to drop them right onto this carousel, and that's going to allow us to just one at a time build this out. And now we've got a complete series of sorts. We've got a complete carousel. And all of these are free books that are first in series. Now we go back over here to manage carousels. We see that this is a user-created carousel. We're going to go ahead and move that up. And I'm going to move this one back down just for the heck of it. Reorganize a little. And there we are. So, I don't know, I think I keep dropping that in the wrong spot. So all those are now in the order I want them. We hit save. All right. So we scroll up, and now when someone pops onto this page and they choose, or they scroll down, they can now see that all these books are here, but they can now see that these books are special. They're first in series free. And you might want to do something like, you know, change the hero book. We'll just change this to devil's interval here. And now it's a more fiction-oriented kind of thing. Okay, so this is all cool, and I recommend, by the way, that after you make a few changes like this, go ahead and save, because you never know, things can go wrong. But I did want to note that once we saved with a new book in place here, it actually changed the tone and color of the page. I just thought that would be something fun to point out. So, all right, now we're cooking with gas. We got a first in series free. This is a promotional carousel. We could have easily said, decided that this was Christmas editions, and then left that up there through the holidays, right up through the first week of January, however long we wanted that to stick around. Or Christmas, how about just Christmas specials? So this would be, books that are maybe we've specially priced. And people can come onto this page and discover those and buy them as a Christmas gift or for Christmas reading. So you can see the power of this customizable carousel. Let's move on to another little aspect of this. On that menu, there are some controls that we haven't covered yet. But let's go and play with those now. So let's say that I've got these Christmas specials, but this Sawyer Jackson book is not specially priced for Christmas. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, and I'm going to move it over here to drag to remove book. I'm going to drop that on top, and there it is. It's gone, but I want to make special note that it's still in the Sawyer Jackson carousel. So if I delete these books, they're not going to delete their counterparts. Okay. Now we can delete these, and let's say I just drag this over and I hit drag to remove, and what happens is it drops it right into the other book's carousel. So if I turn on that carousel again, now that book is in the other book's carousel. So I effectively removed it from the series carousel here. Now, no reason to panic or anything. I can drag it and drop it right back in. But what happens if I drag this onto the drag to remove book button again? This time, I get a message that says deactivate book tab. Each of these books represents a book tab. The book tab is where people can actually click through to buy it. They can learn more about it, that sort of thing. We'll cover that in a second. But if I wanted to just remove this tab altogether from both the other books carousel and its existing carousel, I could hit deactivate book and it would disable the book tab. The universal book link itself would still be around, and if you're using that to promote the book, people could still use that URL to buy the book from whatever their preferred store is. So I don't want to turn off the book tab for this book, so I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel, and I'm going to drag this back over. I'm going to re-add it to the series, and that's it. We have avoided disaster. We have no worries. If I click this, that book is no longer in the carousel, and the world has been saved. So that's how the drag to remove button works. We've covered pretty much everything here. Now, one thing we haven't done yet. So let's say I go over to this and I delete our Dan Collar carousel. I've deleted that, and if I want to re-add that, now it shows up here. And I re-add that carousel, and I want to move it up. And there we go. So now we've deleted a carousel, we've re-added a carousel. We have a nice complete page. I'm going to go ahead and save this one more time. Just save our progress. You can take a look at how things are shaping up here. Lots of cool. I mean, that's just well organized and beautiful. All right, re-entering edit mode, and we said earlier that anytime you see a green outline, it means that these pieces can be edited. If you take a look here, these little pill-shaped outlines underneath the series title, these serve a special purpose. So we have multiple series here, and what we're going to do is we're going to scroll up, and so the Dan Kotler series is an ongoing series. It's not complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button, and it'll say that this series is in progress. Now that's pretty cool. And if we scroll down, now this is a complete trilogy, so I'm going to click that and click it again, and it will say that this is a complete series. And the same with Sawyer Jackson. So that's a way to mark these as ongoing or completed, and for some readers that's a big bonus. If they come here and they discover I've got 2 completed trilogies, it means they don't have to wait for a new book, so they can go ahead and they can read these without worrying about being stalled at the end and having to wait for new books to come out. Now that's all cool, but we also have these books down here. These are nonfiction, and I don't necessarily want to mark these as in progress because I may or may not add new nonfiction titles, and it really doesn't matter as much to me. Like, the readers aren't. This is not a continuous series. In other words, it's not a continuous story. Readers are coming in looking for these books because they want to learn something, and I may have more of these in the future, or I may not. But if I click through a couple of times, it'll go back to blank, and so I don't have to worry about it. So that is the gist of this new functionality. I'm going to show you something here on the D2D book tabs that utilizes this same stuff, and I think you're going to dig it. But let's go ahead and save changes. And I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Now this time, we're going to scroll over here to the book tab icon. And when I click that, now we get something that's somewhat similar to the D2D Author Pages, but this is focused on just one book. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter edit mode. And you can see that we've got some green outlines here. That means we can edit stuff. But down here is something new. This is hide carousel on this page. So if this book is part of a series, we could decide to add the carousel for that series. Okay, so if I save this, now we've got the Devil's Interval, and we can come down here and we can see that there's a Dan Kotler series, and it's part of it, and that is very cool. That helps us promote the whole series. We could do the same thing. We don't have to promote a series. We could just decide we're going to promote the Christmas specials. All right. Now, I do want to promote my series, so let's go back here. But let's say one of the quirks of this, because of the numbering system, it automatically placed The Brass Hall as the first book, as if it were the first book in the series. Now let's say that this is a prequel novella, and I don't mind it being in the front, but let's just say that I wanted the first in series to be the actual first in series. So here I can grab this guy and I can move it all the way to the end and drop it off. Okay, now something important is going to happen here. When I hit save, this will finalize this, and you'll see that carousel is exactly the way I just reorganized it. But here's what's really fun. If I go back to the author page, and I can do that by clicking here. Now we're back at that same author page we were just editing. If I scroll down, take a look. When I make this change on the book tabs, it's going to make the change anywhere else that this carousel appears. So if I've got every single one of these Dan Kotler thrillers has this carousel on it, when I move this book to the end, it automatically updates every single one of them. So that is a very cool feature. Keeps you from having to do a lot of duplicated work, and allows you to have the flexibility to reorganize that at will. So that is a pretty powerful tool. So I'm pretty impressed with it anyway. So that is it for the whole D2D author pages, D2D book tabs, and all of the customizable carousels. I hope you see the power in this. This is a very, very powerful tool, Gives you a lot of flexibility and the ability to organize at will and utilize that space in ways that can help promote your books and your work to the reader. This is just a fantastic update. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have questions, of course, you can hit us up at support@draftedigital.com and hop on over to draftedigital.com. Check out our blog. draftedigital.com/blog will get you there directly, where you're going to learn a whole lot of new stuff. You'll see announcements from us, updates on features like this one, and some great advice for the indie author. So go check that out. That's it for this D2D Answers. We'll see you all next time.